How's it going, everybody? Nick Daniels here yet again, bringing you folks another little video here. Sit back, relax, grab something to eat, and take it easy. So I want to talk about something here. Kind of want to think about this topic and, you know, just the overview of that. So we'll get right into it. So I want to talk about like police officers, bad cops, good cops, that kind of thing. I know it sounds a little silly, like what the fuck's he talking about, a good cop and a bad cop? So I watched a video the other day, and these are like real channels doing these, like not like YouTube channels, like news channels, right? And they're actually like legitimate, I hope anyway. And what they did is they would go to these police stations, and this is kind of the sad part of it though, is they would go to these police stations at, like, you know, a little later in the evening, and they would have like a body cam on, you can't see of course, and they would send a gentleman in, like younger, older, whatever, and they would always ask the same question. They would ask if there was a way that they could file a complaint anonymously, like they could follow like a complaint form, or you know what I mean, or a form, and mail it in, right? And a couple that, like, one of the guys who asked this question, it got to the point that the officer actually detained him, like he handcuffed him and everything and threw him in the back, right into a cell, and they actually had to send the news team in to get their guy out of there. Like a few of them were really intimidated, like one of them like literally unholstered his gun. It was like really fucking bad, man. And that's kind of the problem. Like honestly, like I watch a lot of like police activity. It's a YouTube channel that shows like uncut, unedited police videos, or police activity videos, I guess you would say. And you see a lot of both. You'll see like a lot of cops doing the good and right thing, and then you'll see a lot of them that are almost like on a little bit of a power trip. That's what you always hear in the news, right? Like young black youth gunned down by police officer, right? And like people are like in the streets rioting, right? How bad it is, and the fact that the officer doesn't have any legal action taken against him is always an interesting case. Now, I don't plan to get into those, right? I feel if the officer is actually justified, there shouldn't be a problem. You know, like if you go, it doesn't matter what color your skin is. I don't think that's an issue at all, and it should not be an issue in 2019. But apparently, racism is still an issue, and I think it's ridiculous. But that's a different topic. But no matter who you are, young, old, white, black, green, alien, human, whatever, doesn't, female, male, trans, I don't fucking care, right? Whatever you are, right? And I believe if an officer has reason, you know, that should be like, I would say more of like a last resort. You know, that should not ever be a first resort kind of thing. But there are cases that has to be. Again, watching this police activity, like I said, you see a lot of stuff that's uncut. And one of them was literally a man with, I would say more of like a mix of between a knife and a machete, like it was a bigger knife, chasing a police officer head on, yelling, "Kill me," right? And chasing him on the street. That cop did the right thing, he shot him, right? I don't remember if he actually killed him, but he was at least critically wounded. And, you know, there are situations where that police officer is 100% justified in what they do. There was another one where, again, two officers pulled over a couple of young folk in a car. I think they didn't have like the vehicle properly registered. That's a problem. So this girl was like kind of giving the officer a bit of a hard time, but overall they were fairly compliant. And actually the officers were outstanding, by the way, because they have like they had the dash cam, but they also had like the audio from each of them, so you could hear them talking, and you know, you got a pretty good idea. Well, the mother of one of the girls in there pulled up, and she's supposed to be like some commissioner, friend of the mayor. She's like fucking swearing and yelling at him, and the cop was both of them handled it so well. I'm telling you, like, that is a very difficult thing to do. And there are many police officers who have my respect because they deal with some of the most horrible things and life-threatening things. And I don't think they get enough compensation or credit for that. You know, there was another one where like they were giving this officer a really hard time. Actually, I'll go over here. They were giving this officer a really hard time, and it was really stupid the way they were doing it, because they were just fucking grilling him on this press, right? Like they had cameras in his face. They blamed everything on him or the police force, and you could tell like he actually looked kind of emotional, and he came out and was like, listen, like, we are doing everything we can, and you know, he debunked everything they were saying, right? Because it was just full of baloney. So I'm just saying, like, there's always a left and a right kind of an idea. And when I mean left and right, or yes and no, or true or false, you get the idea, right? There's always going to be someone saying, like, this is the way that it needs to be done, and there's always going to be saying that's wrong, and you know, this is how it is, and cops are all bad. But like I said, you're going to get people that say, you know, there are good cops. You're going to get people say who there are bad cops. I'm in the middle. I think the bad cops that are out there produce a bad name for the rest of them. I mean, I think that's absolute. You know what I mean? Like, if there was one bad cop in a police force, it'll ruin the name of the police force. That's why those complaint forms, they had such a hard time getting those across, because, you know, that's what it does, right? It's going to put a bad name on the officers. But again, it's like any company, right? Like, you have a bad employee, or, you know, a company, an employee with a bad image, right? It represents the entire company. So when you have like 10 corrupt police officers that are doing horrible things, which does happen, and I have zero respect for those officers, you know, they're like fucking body slamming people that have done nothing wrong, or, you know, jailing people on false things, or, you know, whatever it could be. I even heard one who filed a complaint online, like, he's actually got the video online, and the cops literally changing it around on him via the phone, right? And he's like, yeah, like, I have you audio recorded, you're doing this, and it was like threats and stuff. But like I said, oh my, like I said, at the end of the day, you get those like 10 bad officers, and that's what happens. Like 10 out of 100 or 1,000, right? Or 100,000, but those 10, right? That's what happens. And especially this day and age where we're like driven on social media, it even deals with like a company. If you go to a company and have a bad experience, the first thing that you're going to be thinking of is like, I'm going to put it on social media. And then you have like 500 Facebook friends, and they're all reading it, and then they're telling people, and you're telling people, like, word of mouth. That shit spreads, dude. And you got to realize, like, the impact that might have. Like, I'm a former Sobeys employee, and I'm never shopping. I will shop at Sobeys and Foodland. I have no problem doing that. But I will never shop at the Sobeys that I worked at. That building has permanently lost my business. And when you think about it that way, like, even in the longevity of it, how much money would I actually be spending per week and per month on food? That adds up, right? And that's also like a potential loss of revenue, because now I tell people, right? I go around and I tell people my story, and that is something I would still like to make a video on. I just haven't bothered yet, but that's coming. So thank you so much for watching. We're gonna see you in the next video. Let me know what you thought down below, and if you don't, all right, yeah, I'll just go fuck myself. That's cool. All right, thanks for watching. Peace.